as we grow up, right? So we understand what is how the things are being learned,
Hmm.
how people are using it, and how people need to want it to be used, right?
Hmm.
So the one thing that we understood in the journey is
Welcome back to the Exploring Podcast. My name is Teja, and I'm so grateful that you are here. I'm genuinely so proud of our incredible community growing across the world in India, UK, Canada, and Philippines. Thank you so much for each and every single one of you coming back every time to learn, execute, and exploit. So today's guest is a co-founder and chief executive of Guvi. Grab Your Vernacular Imprint is an online learning platform incubated by IT Madras and IIM Ahmedabad, and also supported by multiple accelerators by Google Launchpad and GeoGenNext. With more than 4.3 lakh learners, this is the company that says learn in your own language, and the real focus remains on making the learners employable. Currently, Guvi is on a mission on teaching programming in mother tongue and creating 1 million coders. Earlier, Guvi, he was a senior software engineer at multiple companies including PayPal. I can't wait anymore to start exploring with Balamurugan SP. Thank you so much for joining us, Bala. I'm so glad that you are here.
hi Teja, it's my pleasure to be part of this podcast and being part of this community.
Thank you so much, Bala. And this is something special. Today is the day Guvi was founded back in 2014, June 29th. And congratulations, Bala, to you and your team for incredibly making it to the 6th anniversary. And I hope you had an amazing journey all the way, Bala. Like, how do you feel now?
Thanks, man. Yeah, it's pretty excited. So, uh, when we started, it was more of a dream, just started to explore. But now it's place where we want to really make the right decisions so that the learners are actually getting the right benefits. So, yeah, it's a pretty exciting journey.
Yeah, and just consider these past 6 years as six big lessons, 1 year for each. Like, what are those six lessons that you can take from each and every single year?
Okay, a complicated question to begin with. Okay, let me go back. So it's been 6 years. The first year, it's more of a exploratory mode. Okay,
Yeah.
so it was just an idea. It was just like a single line statement, right? That we are going to teach in native languages.
Hmm.
So that is the statement which we came out with. It's more of exploratory to see how does it fit into where are the takers for this, how does it work, and that is the exploratory mode which we went to. And the next year is obviously, we figured out in the first year, so these are the target customers, these are the ways we are going to do this. The second year is more about survival. Okay, so you're on your own now. It's been 1 year, you're on your own. There are teams that's actually getting built, so you need to make sure that you survive in this scenario and situation, right? So that is survival mode. The third is more of the next year. We were actually competing against the similar products, similar solution. Actually, there was no similar solution because we were the one who to start with the learning in native languages concept and to bring up the contents to go on to a in a as a business mode, as a learning and with a solution with a platform, right?
Hmm.
So we were the one to start with. So there was no equal competitors. Okay,
Yeah.
but the people who are actually in the market who are actually trying to give the service which actually could actually reap the benefits, right? So we were actually competing against them, and that is where we actually go and grab the market share. So that is the competing mode. The fourth is obviously we were actually refining the product as well. So that is the year where we actually came back, refined the solution, so adapted it to the understood the learners much more, and made the solutions refined for them, right? So that is more of a refined year. Next is the obviously the growth phase. So then see you have a product and you know the users and you know what are the needs are. You refined it. So then comes the growth part. So that's when you actually go and really take it to the large number of users, bring the right participants, right audiences into the ecosystem, and that is a growth year. And the last year is more of scaling actually. So once you have the right market fit and the right audiences, found the target group, then it's about the scaling part.
Cool.
So that's it. So that's how I will coin the years actually.
Cool. And it's been almost 6 years, and now Guvi is actually well known in Tamil Nadu and out of the Tamil Nadu. Like most of the people know Guvi as a learning platform for vernacular learning. A lot of startups they actually quit just because they don't get good number of audience. But I got to know just now that Guvi had good number of audience engagement into the platform on fifth year, isn't it?
See, the actually, if I would like to say it right, the engagement was actually there from the day, from the first year itself.
Cool.
Okay, in terms of the engagement ratio. So in learning, we will call that as completion ratio, or how the people are actually engaged or hooked to your content, right? So that is actually the core of the product. See the journey of Gubi, right? It was started from a YouTube channel. Okay, it was inspired from how, I mean, the solution that we provided through a YouTube channel got million hits and 5,000 subscribers in a couple of months. That inspired us actually to understand that okay, there is a need for this solution.
Awesome.
So that is how Guvi was started. So the engagement was not an issue from the day one, and we were actually quite confident. That actually gave the lot of confidence in our solution.
Cool.
Right. So the growth in the numbers was actually gradually done, and with the caution, and also cautiously done. Okay. So because we need to understand what is the solution that we are actually taking to the market and how the users are actually grabbing it, and then you need to make sure that it is actually spread across your target group.
All right, so it started with a belief and trust and being on the same thing, so it went up big in the 6 years.
Also it goes with the metrics, right? So you can actually have it a belief and trust, but you need to consciously measure it then and there to validate whether it is actually going in the right direction.
So how do you used to do that, like measuring the metrics? Like what sort of approaches that you used to do such things?
Simple. One is how much time the people spend on your content.
Okay.
Right, that's so important.
Yeah.
So if your solution, if your content, for example, Guvi, obviously the content is the key. So initially that is how it was started, right? So how much people are actually, see, there are a lot of variety of emails, communication that actually got interchanged with the learners, right, with the users, and a lot of comments in the YouTube channels where people are actually spending hours and hours of their time sitting and watching an educational content, right? So sitting for 7 hours and watching entertainment content is very different than people watching for hours for like close to 7 hours for an educational content is pretty much different, right? So that is some of the metrics that we need to understand to see how users are actually grabbing your content, and obviously the completion ratio of your courses and how much people are willing to pay for your courses content. That's an important metric to know whether this solution is actually a business model. Right, so you can actually say that we can claim that yeah, people like it, but if no one is willing to pay for it, right, then you can't actually sustain. So that is an important metric, and the repetitive customers repeat by how much people are actually willing to again take your services, right? So those are some of the metrics that we need to measure. Yeah, I mean, week on week, month on month, to make sure that you are actually moving in the right direction.
Great. I mean, the Guvi got started with a YouTube channel getting engagement, and also it got incubated by IIT Madras and IIM, right? So can you tell us, share about that journey, getting into IITM and all about that?
So that's actually getting into IIT incubation is a major milestone in Guvi's journey. Okay, so when we were in PayPal, we used to have this Guvi as a pet project. It's more of a voluntary contribution from the team, from us and from the team members. Okay, to building it as a community of learners. Okay, where we people share what we know and make people employable or make them better in the particular technologies. That is how it was started. But when IIT recognized this solution and then took us into the incubation, right? That's how the real thinking of a business model around this was actually, I would say, really inculcated.
Cool.
Okay, so that is when we started looking at how this can be made as a solution which people can actually subscribe for or pay for, right? So then we started working with the right audiences and the right ecosystem, and this is always needed, right? So if you, though you have the right solution, being in the right place at the right time makes a lot of difference, and that is what IIT incubation made for us.
All right. So that was where the turning point began with Guvi, right?
Exactly.
And in the learning platform, when you spoke about the premium content, and can you share about your first learner or premium learner, we call like a premium customer for you? How did it come to you?
Actually, for us, every customer is a premium customer. Every learner is a premium learner. That is how we look at it.
Oh, beautifully said.
No, that's a fact actually. If we don't treat every user as how you used to treat your first user, right? If we don't
Yeah.
give that much of attention to them or give that much of detail to them, then we can't actually win their hearts. Okay,
Hmm.
so
Hmm.
I would not call anyone as premium learner because I don't. Everyone, as I said, everyone has stream, so I don't see them. But premium customer, if you see, IIT was our customer, IIT Madras was our customer. So it don't terms. I don't call them in terms of the revenue that generates. That is not the thing, right? So it's
Yeah.
more about how people are, how whom you are getting associated with based on the trust they believe in your solution, right?
Yeah.
They were the one who
Yeah.
actually made open the gates, and that actually helped us open the other gates where people are looking at for the solution. I mean, we were lucky enough to have IIT Madras our first client and Anna Industry as our second client.
Hmm.
So they had a center for university industry collaboration. They actually saw our solution. They invited us to have sessions where the learners can actually use our product and to see the real benefit of it. Thing is, we still work with both of them after 6 years as well.
Hmm.
So from 2014 till 2020, we are still our first customers are still our repeated customers. That shows the attachment that the product, the solution has built for the people whom we work with,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
obviously.
And Guvi had a surprise release on this 6th anniversary. I'm actually thrilled to know about it.
That's actually something that as we grow up, right? So we understand what is the how the things are being learned,
Hmm.
how people are using it, and how people need to want it to be used, right?
Hmm.
So the one thing that we understood in the journey is even Steve Jobs quoted us many times. The user doesn't always knows what he really wants. Right? So it's always the one we need to explore to see is that the one that really the user wants, okay, or can it be made better for him? So we've been constantly doing that, and the one thing that we are able to understand is how the learning happens.
Hmm.
That's an interesting question that you need to answer yourself as a tech startup, okay? Because that's when you really understand what you're actually building. The one thing that we were able to understand is the learning doesn't happen sequentially,
Cool. Yeah.
okay? To give an example, right? If you want to become a full stack developer, okay, you can't actually say that I'll start with the basics, okay, I'll start with HTML, I'll complete the entire HTML, then I'll go for CSS, okay, and then complete the entire CSS, then I'll go for JavaScript and I'll complete the entire JavaScript, okay, then I'll go for backend frameworks, then front end frameworks, then source code repository. If you sit in this, if you want to learn in this way, right?
It would take a decade.
Yeah, obviously, and no one has the time or money to spend or wait for it. See, obviously, time is money, right? No one ever has the time for it.
Yeah.
See, obviously, then how you need to go for is you need to make sure that your learning actually moves around the things that are actually essential for your growth, which are needed for you to become a full stack developer,
Yeah.
right? So then you need to move. You should have the flexibility to move around the solutions and then get the right skill in the particular duration. The duration is very important here, right?
Hmm.
So that's when we actually brought this new solution and new product where instead of making people to go and buy individual courses, right? So just going them and buying them individual, and also it's not about just the moving around, it's also about the affordability of an individual,
Hmm.
right? You can't actually make someone to buy courses individually, go and get the individual skills learned alone will not actually help them anyways in both affordability and also in the way that can be learned,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So that's why the team actually came forward and looked at the solution to see how best we can actually offer the solution to the user
Hmm.
so that he can actually collectively learn things, okay, and also in an affordable manner, okay. So both goes hand in hand. So that's how we came up with this anniversary pack where we are actually opening up almost all the courses so to this pack where the user can just pay a single shot,
Hmm.
okay, and in an affordable price. That's more important, okay, and then getting the right solution. So when users get into this, right, they need not juggle around skills, they need not juggle around the contents. They can start with the content, they can understand where they need to stop here and go for the right solution or the right technology to get the right skills in that particular part,
Hmm.
and then come back to their original content there where they started. So it's more of a I could say a platter of content where you can actually taste it as you need it and then still go ahead and quench your learning thirst.
Cool. It's like a complete package that you're gonna give like a premium, and they learn every time.
Exactly. They can, and along with that, we have also bundled the practice platform.
Mm-hmm.
That's more important because programming is more like max. Okay. Though you learn things, until you don't practice it, you don't get it to the heart. Right. So the learning combined with the practice platform, the holistic solution has been offered as part of our 6th anniversary, so called anniversary pack.
Yeah.
Definitely people should go and check it out,
Sure.
and we would call that as the right solution.
And I'll be adding all these links in the description so that if they are really interested, give a check. So possibly they can heads up to the description and they can directly check it out.
Cool. And I do have a surprise for you.
Oh.
So this podcast is so special on this day, and I do have a offer code for these users, amazing audiences.
Whoa.
And this actually comes with additional 10% discount.
Okay.
People can go and grab it.
Awesome. Oh, great. So thank you, Bala. Thank you for that.
Oh, it's my pleasure, man.
Yeah, I'll be adding that as well in the description.
Sure.
So that's so great. Let's get into so deeper. I would like to take you, that Bala who was 18 years old. And how was your childhood? And have you ever thought of becoming a founding member or a CEO for a company?
Okay, so this is a complicated question again.
So I said 18 years. Okay, don't go to like 10 or 8 years old. No, 18 years.
No. To the point, they say that's almost end of a teenager, right? So it's more of I just graduated from the school and I was getting into the college, right? See, it's not about CEO. The designations doesn't even. I don't think I knew that there is a designation called CEO at the time, right?
Yeah.
That was not actually my thought process during that process. It's more about. But one thing that I had concrete from my childhood days was bringing people together and creating a solution or creating a platform where people can actually bring their thoughts and share with each other and grow together. So this is something that I could actually recollect and remember when you asked me to compare, right? It's more of a place where you can actually bring the like-minded things together and take them forward. That is how things were actually in my early days as well. So I could just see that as one of a quality of a quality of a founding member. But apart from that, it was not that I was determined to become a CEO. That's not the intention. The intention is to make sure that we have the right people together and we actually stand for a cause.
You had a purpose. Yeah.
Exactly. And that I could resonate with the journey of entire career as well.
And in the meantime, like when you've been from 18 to till now, so on getting started and making this bedrock foundations of Guvi, so have you ever had any personal experience with vernacular issues in your career or someone else's career that actually impacted you?
It's not always about you having the issues, right? It's also about whether you have seen the impact of the solution. Okay, I have actually observed the solution not just because after standard Guvi, it's more about it's a very common thing where we used to see how we used to learn, right? If you just go back even to your days, right? Even now you can actually relate to that. So the most of our learning doesn't happen in the classroom alone. Okay, the majority of the time it happens the day before the exam when you sit with your friends for a night out.
Yeah.
Where the person who can actually you can find these odd man outs usually in every group where the one who sits and explains the things to the others so that they grab those things, right, and go and write the exam.
Yeah.
And most of us learned in those ways.
Yeah.
Right. And luckily I used to be one of them.
Oh, okay. You are a nerd guy at the time. Okay.
I used to do. There are few subjects which are close to my heart, right?
Okay.
So where I used to explain it in the way which explain it so that the people can actually usually people used to ask about it. We used to discuss and they used to sit for nights along with them and share what I have learned, and in the way that usually it happens in the vernacular way.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. When you used to talk to our friends, right?
Totally. Yeah.
Never ever English comes into the picture.
Exactly.
Right? Until it's a girl whom you wanted to impress. Totally, you guys are from different places where you don't have any other option other than English, right?
Yeah.
Apart from that, it's usually your vernacular language or colloquial languages is the one that actually serves as a medium for you to transmit your learning to someone else,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And it have always worked, okay?
Mm.
And it has never, I mean, it has never failed, and it always works. Either he learns or he comes back to and say that no, I don't understand. Teach me again.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
That is the transparency that this vernacular learning creates actually. Okay, so that actually is always close to remain close to my heart, and which actually helped also to be part of this journey.
Cool.
So my co-founder, when Arun Prakash shared this idea, right? So when he came back and after witnessing the things which from his native and his colleges, when he came back and resonated this idea, I was able to relate the things. I was able to understand that okay, this is what is happening, and this is obviously a solution which we can actually take it forward with confidence.
Cool. That was beautifully said. Yeah, yeah. That was actually beautifully said because I could able to relate it. In our engineering days, even I'm still engineer yet.
Yeah, man.
So we always have some very tough subjects for me personally and other people out there. So we go out there and we speak in our own language, making the things even more clear. I'm very transparent and making them down. We never used to study them. When the other person teaches me in a way that I could relate and remember and they can understand intuitively, so that I would never turn back to the book. I go to the exam and I just write down the things what I was recollecting on the time.
Exactly.
Totally. I think that's what Guvi is also making it online now.
Exactly.
Great.
Exactly.
So, Bala, like earlier Guvi, so did you had any experience building startups and you failed or you made it to the next level? Or Guvi was your first startup?
See, overall, I mean, it's been like from 2006, I started my professional career.
Yeah.
Okay. So the one thing that remained constantly with me was exploring new stuff. Okay. So before this, there was a company called VCraft Solution, which I built along with my friend.
Yeah.
Which is more of building solutions for Amazon and Yahoo web stores. Okay, so that's more of a building solutions from the tech stack, and it was going on and off. Okay, it was not because it was not. I'm not a full timer into that, right? So I used to work in people. There was more of a passionate thing which we used to do. Okay, to just see how we are able to manage between work and things and how things can be done. So he was actually into full time. I was more into a tech partner, so who can actually go and build solution or suggest things and take it forward, right? So I was working in those spaces, and it gave a fair idea about to understand how a team has to be built and how things has to be maintained so that the business sustains, right? So these were we were able to see it, but it was not a concrete solution. See, ideally, I've been from a product building background from in PayPal. Okay, we used to build products and see the solutions getting used in real time, right? So being there, I don't want to really do a service startup or service company where I go and just build the solutions for someone else's need, right? I don't get to travel in the journey quite long or quite deep, right? So I don't want to do that. So I was obviously exploring for the new stuff or the thing which we could start, and that's when Guvi was the right fit for that, and that's how we started it.
Cool. And I strongly believe that you had a situation in your life where you continue working for PayPal as a level 3 senior engineer or moving off and strive for a startup, right? So what was your superpower that actually made you to leave that roles in PayPal and go and build Guvi?
Okay, so I won't call that as a superpower. The only thing which I had is I should not regret, okay, for not trying something new.
Yeah.
So if I turn back after a few years, right, I shouldn't be feeling that if I had started this at that point of time, if I have done this, okay, I should not be that guy who says that if I have done this, I would have been here, right? I really wanted to try things and see whether it works or it doesn't work. Okay, it should be a Boolean outcome. Okay, it should not be like would have been done, should have been done, could have been done. I never ever wanted to be of that sort of type. So I took a call whether now or never, right? So I had the right people who I met the right people. So Arun Prakash, Sri Devi, and that actually, and though we know each other from PayPal days, right? So it was getting this idea incubation and getting the traction for the YouTube channel. The things were right actually. The environment was, we were able to sense that this is the right time that we should go deep into this to see how this can be taken further. Okay, if we are inhibited by our own limitations or the thought process of having a safe job, monthly, monthly hefty packages, take home. So if you just lean on that, you would never try this at all. So
Hmm.
that is a moment which feel that obviously the one thing is, if you ask me, the no regrets.
Cool. And you had been through a purpose from the beginning, right? So, you have been so familiar with the purpose and what you want to achieve and what's the mission and vision of the Guvi and how could actually impact the other person learner's life. That's all great. And but when you had this news for your family saying that I'm gonna go out of PayPal and I'm gonna work for Guvi. So when you shared this with your family, so did your family reacted with worries or responded with a belief?
It's kind of a mixed reaction. Okay, I wouldn't say this or that. It was more of this than that.
Yeah.
Okay, but that's okay. We managed it. We crossed it. So things are well now.
Cool. So you quite well managed it and you actually made your decision that you actually want to do.
Yeah, they supported us. See, obviously, when if you though you work hard on the day, right? So when you go back and people are not happy with it, if they don't support it, obviously you can't actually come back the other day, the next day, right? So obviously, so the worry, though the worry and belief was there, the belief was more than the worry.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
the weightage of belief actually helped us to move forward.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That actually defines how well you're actually related with your family so deeper, right? And you have been so far building Guvi from the bedrock foundation. What would be some words of advice you would give for someone who is getting started with the edu-tech startups?
Okay, so there is no fixed solution or there is no final solution, okay,
Hmm.
in this domain.
Yeah.
It's always evolving. It's always you need to always look out for the clues or look out for the problem that needs to be addressed and the solution that needs to be refined. Okay,
Yeah.
so you can't settle down with just the solution that you built. You need to constantly look into that and evolve it, and then that is how you actually survive or succeed in this business, in this domain.
Cool. And I personally heard a lot about Guvi's initiatives most of the times, even when I go for hackathons. And Guvi usually used to be our sponsors for the hackathon, like giving a lot of giveaways as well. Along with that, and I know few personal people who've been working for Guvi as well as a full-time engineering roles and also as an interns as well. So I personally heard a lot about Guvi's initiatives called Hire and Zen Classes.
Hmm.
So what are actually there? What is the purpose behind them?
See, the hire is the product that actually helps the companies to recruit people through Guvi. Okay, so identifying the right talents through Guvi platform is the one that actually, interconnects the learners and the recruiters in our platform. Okay, see, ideally the goal for every learner is to get employed, right? Get a best job. Okay, find the right partner whom they work for, right?
Yeah, employability. Yeah.
Exactly. So Guvi as a platform creates that platform where they can actually learn and then get connected with the right jobs. Okay. So the
Hmm.
other side of the table, obviously, there are every recruiter, every company is looking for a right fit for their solutions or their needs, right? In terms of the building them, in terms of the team members. Okay, every company is looking for the right team members, right?
Hmm.
Talents whom they can actually rely on to building their products, right? So obviously, Gubi has been flooded with the learners. So if we can actually rightly help them to understand or find them the right people whom they can work with, okay, or the companies to find the
Hmm.
right people whom they can hire, right? That is the best interconnect that you can make for the users of the platform. Okay, so that is how the hire
Hmm.
platform is built, and right now more than 250 plus companies are using our platform for recruitment. And
Hmm.
in terms of jobs, more than now it's actually close to 10,000 jobs which have been actually handed over through the platform.
Cool.
Okay, so people are using it for their own recruitment through the learners in the platform, and that is how it goes in the higher model. And in terms of the Zen class, it's more of an experiential learning model.
Okay.
Okay, so the one which we have in the online courses, right? This is more of a self-based learning, right?
Hmm.
So where you can actually go and take the course and you can learn by yourself. Though it's actually gamified and personalized. Okay, it's more of us. It's you in the platform who actually goes and learn along with the platform,
Hmm.
right? The Zen class is more of experiential learning where we bring in the industry mentors into the platform.
Yeah.
Okay, so the mentors who actually come with their rich experiences, share the ways in which they approach the solutions, or share the way in which they write the code for the particular stuff, or how they actually architect things, right?
Hmm.
That actually transforms the individual from into a different perspective altogether,
Yeah.
right? So imagine if you want to build if you want to learn a full stack development, right?
Hmm.
You get a person from actually from Facebook or Google or Microsoft or PayPal, where large scale systems are being built.
Hmm.
Okay, so the total perception of your learning changes,
Yeah.
right? So that is what the Zen class is all about. So we bring in the mentors from the industry who can actually interact with you, help you to build solutions, do the code review, and then tear the code apart and make it build from the scratch again, right?
Yeah.
So these are things that happen, and this happens over a period of 12 weeks.
Hmm.
So I mean, it's post-COVID, it's more of online thing. So it's actually before even COVID, this was actually done in a blended model with Guvi. So we were actually doing it like starting I mean, from 2019 April, we started this, and it's been a year now, and we had close to like 14 batches, which are 14 batches
Hmm.
where people have actually been part of this Zen class program.
Cool.
You should go. You should definitely check it out, man. So you are still in your final grads, and I would recommend surely to go to that.
Of course. Surely. Surely. Yeah.
So guvi.in, guvi.io/zen is the place where you should go and check it out.
Surely, okay. I had been through the the brochures that in being beautifully designed with all the information which is being so attractive. I've been through that. Actually, the surprise for you is I've been already there. Okay.
Oh, okay. I'm glad. I'm glad.
Yeah, so when you spoke about Hire, where the companies get partnered with kind of a partnership with getting connected with Guvi and taking the students or learners from your platform as an employability point of view, right?
Right.
So in the initial phases, what is that one company trusted you and actually accepted your learners as their employees?
Charge B. Charge B was our first customer. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So and the Krish whom we met in a event, right? So it was a more of a accidental meet
Hmm.
where we've been presenting a solution to the audience. There was a bunch of people who were actually hearing about Guvi and discussing about it.
Yeah.
So there was a one guy who walked out and said, "Hey, solution seems to be good. I'm happy about it, but I have a problem in recruitment. Can you help us with that?"
Ooh, okay.
Okay. So he said the earlier week they actually had a interview process where they spent on close to 12 hours to identify the right people whom they can talk to.
Hmm.
Okay. So his problem is, can you help us with identifying the right talent in a in a defined timeline? So we said, okay, we will figure it out. Okay. We
Hmm.
never really know how we are going to figure it out, but we said we will figure it out.
Cool.
Okay, so it was none other than Krish actually. Chargebee founders Krish, right?
Okay.
So he was the one. So we came back actually. So we came back and said, look, here's an opportunity where we can actually see
Hmm.
his problem statement is what is the problem. If we could solve it, obviously we could actually open the doors for the right people to come into the system for our learners.
Hmm.
Okay, and that's the right thing to do. Okay, so we came back, we had already the playground, which is where people can go and write code, compare it against test cases. So we had the code, we had the platform where people can learn the programming languages, right?
Hmm.
So we actually built that into a assessment platform which can be used by the by ChargeBee to assess the candidates and to see where they actually could find the right talents.
Hmm.
Okay, from the talent pool that we had.
Yeah.
So we did it almost in, I think, in less than 4 days. I think it was done.
Cool.
So then we actually took it the solution to him. He evaluated through his CTO Rajaram.
Hmm.
So then we had a team who were actually sitting and discussing the features, how it can be used, and how the talent can be brought into the system.
Hmm.
So the entire it was a quite impressive journey. So with them, so that's how it started with.
Cool.
And we were able to actually add the value to the hiring process the next week, where almost close to the similar number. It was actually close to the similar number that they had in the earlier drive, but this time they just spent 2 hours to actually identify the right talents. Okay, so this was actually in 2015.
Cool.
So the year after we started in 2014, so just after a year, I mean less than a year, we were able to get them onboarded.
That's impressive. That's really, really impressive. Like within a year, less than a year, it's been so far.
Yeah.
And how about the current situations? How do you actually approach recruiters for getting learners from your platform?
Okay. Now the process has actually refined into a much more matured model. Okay. So now we have early days it was more with the learners and the recruiters with the platform for evaluation. That is how it started with. But as the learners started growing, right, with a lot of data that comes to the platform, we were able to create a Guvi profile which actually maps the learner's journey. Okay. So we were able to understand where the learners' skills are. Okay, where the people are spending time on, where they are able to improve their skills on, and what is the need from the recruiters, right? So we were able to the platform, the machine learning algorithm in the Guvi platform is able to relate these two things, data, and able to match them and create a right audiences for both of them. Okay, so as a company, you will be able to using the platform, you'll be able to understand what type of learners I'm going to pick and where are they, and are these learners matching my expectations in terms of the name. Okay, the platform can do all this stuff and relate them, and they can complete the entire process in the platform itself. And after ChargeBee, the other companies obviously like JustPay, PayPal. So these they actually have found a lot of best talents through the platform. Okay, so having the right audiences in terms of the learners and the recruiters always helps us to make sure that both the needs of them are actually met.
So I personally love from my college, Guvi is our training partners for our seniors. Okay, so they do train all of our seniors, making them ready for the job, making them ready for the industry, and all of that. So I want to know, like, how did Guvi get connected with engineering colleges, and what was that first college which actually trusted Guvi and made them to be a part of it?
Okay, see, when we built the solution and brought the platform into the market, right? So we wanted to obviously start either as a B2B player or as a B2C player. Okay, so the initial obviously the if you wanted to really understand the users behavior in the platform or the way they can actually see how it can be beneficial or what are the solutions that actually need to be built, right, you need to have the larger audiences to whom you can actually give the solutions and closely work with them to know their feedbacks, to know their pain points, and to address it, to refine it, right? So that's how we started working with engineering colleges. Okay, so because they give you the real facts, they show you whether it works or not. Okay, if you don't get the next year order, it means that it doesn't work for them. Okay, you need to make sure that you are actually addressing the solution then and there. Okay, you are actually finding the right sweet spot where you can actually where your solution and their needs are actually met.
Yeah.
Right. So that is how we started working with the colleges to understand how, to really get the solution much better so that they can actually see the real benefits.
Yeah.
Okay. So obviously your college is one of the real example where the people have been placed with the high packages, right? So we are happy to even they are the right now, I think the highest paying jobs that are actually going through the platform. The 41 lakhs package went through for our learner. Okay, and that is by your college.
Awesome.
That actually helped us to understand that these are the needs that actually what we have. It shows that what you have provided is actually right. Solution actually fits the need of the learner. So that's how we ended up working with the colleges, and it really worked for us to understand, build the right solution, so that now each one can actually have a journey in the platform with the belief that this actually works for their set of audiences, for the relative set of audiences, for the peer group, right? If you have learner from a college whom you can actually name it across can come and skill themselves. Obviously, anyone with the same age group
Mm.
or with the same background or with the same intention, right, can come and learn it.
When you actually, this question, I wanted to take it so personal and also so vulnerable. So, when Guvi has been to engineering colleges, what is the one thing that you found that is lacking in the colleges?
See, earlier it was more about infrastructure.
Hmm.
Okay, so we being an online platform where the streaming happens through online, where the video bandwidth, everything is been into consideration. Right? I mean, most of the time the videos all banned in the video streaming was banned in college environment, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that
yeah,
is how it was earlier.
yeah.
But actually, things changed after Geo came into the picture, and I mean, people are able to adopt the internet speed, and people are able to take it on their own. Though there was I mean, issue in the college about allowing them to watch the videos and streaming those things, right? People are able to use it on their own laptops or mobiles,
Hmm.
and that is actually one of the bottleneck we had initially. But we were able to build solutions around them. So we even had a solution where there can be no internet. Still, Google platform will work for them. Okay, through a local net and other solutions.
Hmm.
So we were able to, and even for low bandwidth, right? We were able to build a solution which actually works pretty well for them.
Yeah.
Okay, so understanding your bandwidth and delivering the things accordingly. So that was actually the intelligence that was built into the product.
Hmm.
So since we being from a tech background, right, we were able to understand all these nuances and build the solutions accordingly.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was one of the bottleneck that we had in uh, those environments. And the second one is more about the mindset actually. So earlier when things were brought to them online, right? So people are concerned that that doesn't really fit for their students.
Hmm.
So people always believed on physical learning, physical classroom model based, right?
Hmm.
That was the initial inhibition people had. But once we were able to prove it across to the audiences about that this works, this really helps them. This makes the students better, right?
Yeah.
Then obviously people understand it and then go for it.
Yeah. So, and one more thing that I really want to know, in the perspective of GUI's purpose and its deep intention to make the content to be available for the learners in vernacular languages, stats from 2019, the recent stats, stated that there are 22 official languages in India, out of which and 122 are major languages and 1599 other languages, right? These many are in India, like just in India. And how is Guvi planning to reach the most?
Simple. You need not go for all the languages. You can go for the languages where people are comfortable with.
Yeah,
Okay. So if you've been obviously a South Indian, you should be able to either speak Tamil, Telugu,
Canada.
Kannada,
Yeah.
or Malayalam,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
If you go beyond that, obviously Hindi is the major language where people are actually used to,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
So these languages obviously addresses the Indian languages. Though we have courses in Bengali, okay, though we have courses getting done in Govani language or other languages, these I mean covering doing it in Hindi pretty much solves the need of the other states. Okay, so this being in Indian and the other obviously the languages whom you can actually need these kind of solutions are like Middle East, Southeast Asian language, Southeast Asian countries.
Hmm.
Okay, so those are the if you could address the major segments where people are actually used to communicate with,
Yeah.
right? So the problem is solved. See, the point is not about the focusing on the promoting languages, right? So the focus is not on promoting languages. It's not that you need to learn just in your own language, right? It's more about the language in which you are actually comfortable with, language in which you are familiar with,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Totally. I get that. I get that. And how about when things are getting better and better? Like, have you, I don't think you expected that you will be celebrating the sixth anniversary in a pandemic during the lockdown
Yeah.
and in this COVID-19 situation. Like, so what was your reaction when COVID-19 actually made this pandemic in the beginning?
Yeah, like every other business, it was more of a pre-COVID and post-COVID. Okay, so when we were able to see, sense that how this is going to affect the learners, right? We were actually nervous. Okay, so because many of our learners were in final year students and people who are actually getting into the employability readiness. Okay, and this disconnectivity between them and us, okay, would really make them bring their learning to halt. Okay, so the good thing is, uh, just even 2 months before the COVID starts, right? So we were able to ensure that the learning happens through the platform seamlessly. Okay, so that actually helped us a lot in terms of maintaining the learners' continuity of their skilling in the platform. Okay, and the one thing that we observed in the beginning of COVID is when people were actually disconnected from the regular learning process, right? Yeah, there are two things that are actually terrific thing for them. One is availability of the content for learning. Okay, so they did not have the right content which they could actually continue learning, and the second point is the affordability, right? People have already paid their fees, and making them to go through a different way of learning with a different investment, this totally doesn't make sense. Okay, so that's when we said, okay, let's not panic, let's open our gates, let's make sure that the learners learning process, the learning journey continues on the platform even during these tough times. Okay, that was a constant issue that was made, and that actually, even to our surprise, the people who been part of this platform, I mean, it's more like the users actually almost, I'll say, tripled during this particular duration alone. Okay, the 1 month duration in which we were able to open up the courses and offer it free of cost, right, for the people to continue the learning process. The users who came to the platform and who retained with us. So once we opened our platform for people to come and learn for free, right? So it was well received than we expected. Okay, so because there are a lot of people who are in need of this solution at that particular point of time. Okay, who are deprived of this who are deprived of this content and the way they wanted to learn, right? When we were able to provide that, it was well received, and you won't believe in the. I mean, even we did not believe it. Okay,
Yeah.
the number of people who enrolled it, almost we got almost the subscriptions, the courses were close to 1.78 lakh users. Our enrollment happened particular time around.
Hmm.
Okay, that was totally, I mean, it is, we did not expect that much of traction in that particular duration, because we felt people will be worried about how things are going to be, right? But when we are able to give the right message to the learners, right, saying we are there to support and you can actually still go and do things. Okay, because when things become normal, right, people need to get back to the reality and start going and start continuing their way of journey in the life, right? So they need to use this particular time to ensure that they remain relevant to the current trends. So opening up the platform during this COVID situation actually helped a lot of people to be part of this continuing the skilling and ensuring that they're able to sustain their momentum of learning. Okay, so we were able to, even the time that people spent, right, close to you, the number of minutes, we were amazed actually. More than 2 lakh minutes of learning has been accounted during this particular. It was less than a month actually. Within the less than a month, we were able to record 2 lakh minutes of learning, right? So which was quite amazing for us, and we ensured that the system remained stable and robust for this particular group of audiences. And I mean, the credit goes to the tech team actually. So, uh, where they were able to build the scalable systems, right? So they were able to maintain it throughout, and obviously the entire team actually was focused on this particular mission during this particular point of time.
Yeah.
So we ensured that every team member understood the importance of it, and they came forward by themselves to support this initiative and support the users and ensure that the transition for them from offline to online was seamless,
Hmm.
and they were able to complete the things in a way they wish they could do it.
Yeah. And it seems really, very much surprising as well. The whole ID industry is trying to survive to put it upstairs. But Guvi had actually made an achievement in the lockdown, right? And it had been through a lot of, a very high watch time with a lot of new learners acquisition, and quite a lot that you had an amazing achievements were also running in the pandemic as well, right?
Right. I mean, it meant a lot to us, right? For example, see, when you know that this is what your user needs, right? And if they can't do it right now, right, you need to ensure that you are there to support them so that they could actually come back to you when there is a need,
Totally. Yeah.
right? So that is where we stood for, and that really it's been well received by, and even the AICTE came back and looked into the courses which they wanted to take it for across the nation for
Cool.
free, and then we worked with them on closely on that part and delivered that actually.
Cool.
So that is something that's aligning with our goal, right?
Yeah, 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 yeah. And it's so far that you've been communicating with the recruiters that you had collaborations with Guvi, and what would be the situation post pandemic, like post lockdown? What would be the situation of recruitment? I think you expected this question.
It's something that everyone should be aware of, right?
Yeah.
Okay, everyone is actually unsure of how things are going to change post COVID, right? It's still assumptions, okay? So it's still people are just assuming things that this is how it will be, right? So what the thing that needs to be focused for the current learners or the current people who are actually getting into the employability state, right? You need to get yourself equipped in such a way that you are actually the one who will be looked out for when things become normal. Okay, so if you have the right skills and if you have the right attributes to go and get things done, right? Obviously, you need not worry. See, you will be one of the lucrative person who will be picked up by the hiring partners, right? Because everyone is going to come back to the business and everyone is going to come back and build the solutions, and everyone is going to come back and hire. Okay, when they are actually looking for the right people, you should be the one who should be grabbed for them.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you have the right skills, if you have the right attitude towards getting things delivered, then you need not worry, and you are the right person who will be hired by them.
Cool. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And during this lockdown, there is a lot of things that been happening in and around, and also the schools and the colleges are being shifting online to the Zoom calls, Google Meets. Everything is happening online. They've been trying out to learn online, but I don't know how productively it's happening. But does Guvi have any plans on helping schools and colleges to make the process very clear online?
Yeah, we did it actually. See, there are almost every day we have like thousands of users from the colleges who are using a platform
Okay.
for learning or by themselves or with assisted learning through Guvi mentors,
Okay.
and they use a platform for their practice and assessments. Okay, so see, when things change, right, people also try to change accordingly.
Yeah.
Okay, so earlier, which was actually considered as a luxury thing or a additional value add, has become a new normal now.
Cool. Yeah.
Okay, so people are actually going through the courses, they are actually going through the assessment, they are going through the practice platform, and they are taking it by themselves. Okay, so now you can just guide them. Just guidance is sufficient for them, and they can take it forward. And the webinars sessions which we did, the 100 webinars which we did during the lockdown days, right?
Yeah.
By the industry mentors, really helped a lot of people to come back to the track.
Cool.
Okay, so that served as a way in which they can actually start things and engage with the mentors, engage with the authors, and help them to understand what their real need is. Okay, so that actually transformed the way people learn through the platform. And right now, as I said, every day thousands and thousands of learners are using from the colleges, from individuals, okay,
Yeah.
to make sure that they stay relevant to the current skills and stay relevant for the upcoming job opportunities as well. And to state that there are also hiring that's regularly happening still, it doesn't mean that things have come to a real halt, right? Things have been slowed down. Let's accept that. But things are still been the hiring process from the clients are still happening, though not in the phase that it usually used to be during this time the last year. It is still happening. So if you are really a learner or a job seeker, right, you should obviously make use of this opportunity to showcase what you are capable of, what your potential is, so that the platform can actually relate you to the right recruiting partners in the platform.
Yeah, yeah, totally. And I have one more question for you where, that would probably help most of the people being trying out to build their startups. All right. When it comes to the part of raising funds and raising venture capitals and this all the stuff, so people usually get worried about it. And also, I know Guvi recently has raised over 6 crores, and getting to know that is the exact moment where you need to raise the funding. And how do you get to know about the timings for raising this venture capitalists and all?
Uh, See, you need to know where is the valuation that the investors or the external venture capitalists are bringing to the table, right? So there could be different phases. Okay,
Yeah.
so the one that we raised recent is actually from who's been referred by an earlier investor. Okay, so before that, Guvi has raised from Grey Matters Capital, and before that, there were actually angel investors, right? So people came into a journey in different phases, either in ideation phase or in obviously the growth phase, and then in the scaling phase now.
Yeah.
Okay, so every time the investor comes, they comes with a different ticket size. That's it. So you need to understand that whom you are onboarding and whether their vision is aligned with your goals, your mission, and your vision. Okay, that's critical, and that is the one that you need to be worried about.
Yeah.
So rest of the things will be taken care by them. I mean, taken care by the in the process. Okay, so finding the right partners who can be in your journey is the key during this fundraising process.
Cool. Okay. And that's where actually, when your mission and your goals and your purpose aligns with their purposes and their goals, that's where the true potential could come out, right?
Exactly, you're right.
And you know, what are your commitments for the next anniversary by this time next year, right? So what are your plans that you're gonna get it done like just like this?
So when we started this year, okay, 2020, so reaching million users is the major target that we had.
Yeah.
Okay, and obviously getting into the best learning platform in the world for vernacular way of learning. Okay, so that is where our mission is. That is where our goal is. Okay, so we are the number one vernacular platform. We are the one who started this,
Cool.
and we should be the one who should be the most sought after vernacular learning platform, at least for the tech space. Okay, so that is where our mission is. That is where we are actually heading to. So anything you wanted to learn in your native language in technology, so Guvi should be the one-stop shop for it.
Yeah. Cool. So it's gonna be a big thing for the next 1 year.
See, obviously, that is what our mission is. That is what where we're heading to. Okay, so there's no deviation on that. Obviously the making the platform in a more personal. Obviously, see, those are actually the way in which things are done. So the one is where you want it to be, and the how thing is second part is how we are going to make it. Okay, so the best part of Guvi platform is it's a personalized and gamified learning platform. Okay, so which actually makes the learning process much easy,
Yeah.
and also much efficient.
In an interactive way. Yes.
Exactly. So until we make the learning process easy, and until we make sure that the learner gets the right gratification in the learning process,
Yeah.
okay, so the learning is going to be amazing for every one of us.
We are almost to the end, and Bala, like, you know, there are a lot of learners getting into, you know, new technologies or programming or no matter whatever the things they want to learn every single day. So, you know, you've been through a lot understanding the student mindset and the learner's perspective of looking at the things. So what would be your advice or suggestions that you would give to some of the listeners that are trying to learn something new?
Don't think too much. Get into action. Okay, so only that is going to help you.
Okay.
So you can have so much of plans, but until you execute it, it's not going to help you. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Where I know that overthinking sometimes, not sometimes, like most of the times, it kills you, right?
Exactly. Most of the times, you nailed it.
Yeah, and that comes to the end. And thank you so much for your time, Bala. I'll be adding all the links about the giveaways that we have on the anniversary with the podcast and without as well.
Sure.
And also, I'll be adding your LinkedIn and email as a point of contact in the description so that the listeners could reach you out for any other things. And thank you so much for joining us, Bala. It really means a lot to me. Thank you so much.
Sure. Nice talking to you, Teja. And obviously, I wish you more success, and I wish you more success for the podcast audiences who are actually listening to this. I just want to make this time that we spend over here meaningful. So hopefully, we will have more sessions in there.
It will surely. Thank you so much, Bala.
Yeah, thank you, Teja. Bye.